Okay, we're going to look at a couple things here. We're going to look at sorting and filtering the data that we have. Then we'll do another function called the if function. Okay, what we have here is we just have some population census data for some states. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to first do some sorting. So I'm going to highlight all of the data. Oops, let me highlight it this way so you can see what's going on at the top. But highlight all the data that I want to sort. Okay, then I go up here to sort and filter. Now, if I just hit A to Z, I'm not sure what it'll do. Let's click it and see what happens. I'm not sure. That's not usually the best way to do it unless it's a single column that you're sorting. Here I want all the things to sort with each other, each row to be held together. So I'm going to go into custom sort here. Okay, and what I can do here is, first of all, I notice that I've got data headers. What that means is you have state region, that top row is actually a header. If I take that off, it's going to consider that part of the data and just call it A, B, and C, right? So I do have headers. I want to make sure it knows that. And what I can do is I can sort this by, for example, let's sort it by the region instead, okay? And click OK. Now you'll see that it alphabetizes Midwest, Northeast, Northwest, South, okay? But then let's say within that, I want to do a little different sorting and sort, because right now it looks like then it's sorted by state, and it's probably just defaulted by whatever the previous sort was. So I can come back here, go into custom sort, and what I can do is I can add a level and basically say, hey, okay, once you get the region, then I'm going to go ahead and say sort by the year, okay? And again, going from smallest to largest, you can change that over here if you want to, and click OK. And you can see now I have Midwest, then all the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, right? And then the same thing here, okay? But now again, it doesn't finalize what the last piece is, so I can come in here, I can click on custom sort, and I can add another level and say, I'm not sure what happened there. Let me try this again. Custom sort. I guess maybe come down here and then do add level. There, so it goes below. Now we'll sort, say, by population. And this time we'll go from largest to smallest, just to uh, do something a little different, okay? And then you can see each year then, so, I get into Northeast 1970, and it lists those from largest to smallest, okay? So you can play around. That's how you can sort different things using different hierarchy and things of that nature. The next thing I want to show is if I want to filter out data and just look at some amount of data. So I can come in here and I can go click on filter, and you'll see up at the top here, it has these little drop-down menus, right? So for example, I could see just 1970. I just select that, and now I'll see all of the data that's just 1970. It'll filter that out, okay? And maybe I just want to see what the region of the South is in 1970, and I can filter it out like that. So it kind of compresses it down so you can only see the data that you're interested in seeing, and you can do several different things with that. You can always clear these like so. Just go in here, clear and clear, okay? The other thing I could do is say I could just see any population above 10 million or something like that, okay? So you can set a number filter. So let's, for example, say greater than, so it's greater than 1 million. And I just type in 1 million like that, and it'll filter it out. Now I'll only see those that are bigger than 1 million. And I could bound this if I want. Basically, I can add like between 1 million and less than 10 million. And I can set that filter like that. So now I just see the data of the population between those specific number range that I've got there. Okay, so you can play around with that. Lots of different ways to do the filtering. Okay, I can clear this. Also note on here you can do you can sort. Okay, it's not quite as powerful as the other one because it's harder to do certain levels. But if you want to just get things in a specific way, you can do the sorting if you want that way. Okay. Um, it's just a little quicker, not quite as in depth though. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is the if statement, okay, which is simply if. And what you do, you see it says logical test, and then if true, do something, and if false, do something. So let's just go through and say, okay, if this column equals 1970, and I'll just leave it at that, okay? What happened here? Oh, that's the problem. These are text values, not number values in here. Nope, that's not it either. Okay, the problem was I didn't say what to do if it is true. So I click on this value here and then say equals 1970, hit a comma, and then it says, okay, so what if it is true? I'll print the word old. So I put in quotes to let it know it's a text string that I'm going to put into this and hit enter. So you see now when that equals 1970, it says old. What happens if I autofill this down? You'll see that in this um, row where the year is 1980, I get a false value. Okay. If I don't want it to say false, I can go in here and I can say, okay, well, rather than that, I can say newer or something like that. Okay. And if I go that, I do that. So basically, and I should probably autofill this up. So again, basically what you have is some sort of logical test, and then you can say, okay, well, if it's a certain value, if that's true, then say this. If it's not true, then say this. Okay, and that sort of a thing. Okay, you can also do things like if, again, let's do this one. If it's greater than 1 million, okay, then you could say something like big. Oops, I forgot the quote on that. Okay, so that one's less, but you can double click down. You can see, okay, so right here, that value is bigger than 1 million, so it calls it big. The value above was less than 1 million, so it says false. Okay. The other thing you can do is rather than just, print stuff, I can come in here, okay, say, if it's greater than 1 million, um, say what year it was bigger than 1 million. So I can click on that, okay? And you see it still says false, but if you come down here, then, okay, it prints out that value there, okay? Or if I want, I can do that, and then I could perform some sort of math where I say take the population and divide it by the year or what have you. I don't know why you do that, but you can see if it's bigger than 1 million, it'll do that for you. If it's less, again, like here, you'll get a false value because again, at that point, it was less than 1 million. Okay, so you can do those calculations in there. Okay. Now, what if you want to do like I did on the um, the previous one where I have like old and new, okay? And I want to kind of have more than just this or that. What I need to do is have to do a nested if statement. So I'd say something like, okay, if, okay, that value equals 1970, then I say old, right? We did that before, okay? Not a big deal. But the problem becomes, okay, well, what if it equals 2000? Well, that's the new one, okay? So rather than saying, okay, if this, okay, the second one is if it's true. If it's false, what I can do is do what we call a nested if statement. So if it's not 1970, it goes into this spot holder here. And then I can ask basically the next question. Well, if that value equals 2000, then I can say new. Okay. And I can double click, and now you see when it does equal 2000 like it does here, it puts in the value new. Okay. So again, as I look at this value that I have here, right? So this is the first. So if that's true, whoops, then it goes here into old. Okay. Maybe I'll do it up on top here so it's easier to see. Let me undo what I just did there. Okay. So again, up here, okay, first it checks to see if it's 1970. If it's true, it says old. If it's not true, then it comes into all of this stuff here. At which point it says, okay, well, if it's 2000, then it's new. Well, what if it's not 1970 and not 2000? Well, then it says false there. But what I could do is I could do another if statement and say, well, if it's 1980, do this. If it's 1990, do that. Or I could just say other. Okay, and click OK. Oops, that needed to be on the inside of this parentheses. And you'll see as I go up, it switches those false values to others. So let me go through it one more time. So again, it first says, okay, well, is that value 1970? If it is, go here. If it's not, do this whole if statement. Okay, so to get into this if statement, I know it's not 1970. So within this statement, it says if it's 2000, then do new. Okay, if it's not, I already know it's not 1970. I now know it's not 2000, and I can either, again, do another if statement or just do the other. That's what's called a nested if statement, where you keep asking several if statements, one after another after another. If this, if it's not, then, well, is it this? If it's not that, is it this? And that sort of a thing.